Hi guys, I'm going to read some information about a very famous inventor called Alexander Graham Bell, and I just want you to be listening for now and see if you can pick up any key points. I might ask some questions at the end. Alright, Alexander Graham Bell was born in Scotland. His mother, who was deaf, was a musician and a painter of portraits. His father, who taught deaf people how to speak, invented visible speech. This was a code which showed how the tongue, lips, and throat were positioned to make speech sounds. Graham, or Alec as his family called him, was interested in working with the deaf throughout his life. He only attended school for 5 years, from the time he was 10 until he was 14, but he never stopped learning. He read the books in his grandfather's library and studied tutorials. When he was a teenager, he and his brother Melly used the voice box of a dead sheep to make a speaking machine that cried "Mama." This created even more interest in the human speech and how it worked. Wow, that's cool. When he was in his early 20s, his two brothers died from tuberculosis. Bell himself had this disease, and his father moved the family to Canada looking for a better climate in which to live. Bell recovered from the disease. 2 years later, when he went to Boston to open a school for teachers of the deaf, and then became a professor at Boston University. It was at this time that he met Mabel Hubbard, one of his students who was 10 years younger than he. Mabel had become deaf at the age of 4 due to scarlet fever. 5 years later, after their meeting, they were married. At the wedding ceremony, he gave her a gift of about 10 shares of the stock in the newly formed company called Bell Telephone Company. They had 2 daughters and 2 sons. Their sons both died at a young age. Thomas Watson became an associate of Bell. He made parts and built models of Bell's inventions. One day while they were working, Bell accidentally heard the sound of a plucked reed coming from over the telegraph wire. Watson had been tuning the metal reeds in the next room. Bell drew up a plan for the telephone, and they continued to experiment. The next day they transmitted the famous words, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want you." A few months later, on February 14, 1876, he applied for a patent on his telephone. He knew that he'd have to work quickly to get the patent because other people were trying to make the invention transmit the human voice as well. Elisha Gray claims that he too invented the telephone, but Bell got the patent office an hour or so before he did, and it is said that Antonio Mesui also succeeded with the invention before Bell did. So there was a lot of people trying to invent the telephone. Because Bell had the patent, he had the right to be the only one to produce the telephones in the US for the next 19 years. He showed the invention to Queen Victoria of England, and she wanted the lines to connect her castles. By 1917, nearly all of the United States had telephone service. He continued to invent other things. He developed a method of making the phonograph, records on a wax disc. He made iron-breathing lung and a device for locating icebergs at sea. He experimented with sheep. He was interested in kites that could lift a man, and he invented a hydrofoil, which set a world speed record of over 70 miles per hour. He, along with others, started the National Geographic Society, and he served as its president for several years. So there you go. Pretty interesting stuff. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, guys.